Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. This time it's round 13 of this IRC Tier 1 F1 2020 League, and it's been a while since I uploaded the last video, and this league race highlight should be a good one for you. So coming up into this race, you can see on your screen, so we were P3 in the championship standings, and towards the as we approach the end of the season, it's all about just closing those points, closing that gap that we have to the guys in front, and hopefully, let's see, it should be a good ending to the season. So coming up into this race, the strategy was pretty simple, and it was to qualify on the mediums and then switch on to the hards midway into the race. So that that kind of creates a little pressure on you to perform towards the closing end of the qualifying. But let me take you around for the fastest lap, which I did in this quali session on the medium tire. So coming up into T1, after the 100-meter board, around 75 meters, you need to brake very hard, and then it's all about the exit out of that corner, because this sector 1 is just all about getting on power early and then maximizing your exit speed out of corners, late braking into this one, and then you can get on power way earlier than you think you can, and then it's all about carrying that momentum through. And this is a very crucial section because it's really make or break through this section, and I took it a lot more cautiously than I would have wanted to, but it's just, yeah, it was very important to hook together a lap and into this chicane, brake when the curb starts, and just carry as much momentum as you can through that section, left and then right. And again, very important to carry that momentum and not run wide, and this is a very entertaining corner. So just a minor lift, and I think I should have gone down into 6th gear, but yeah, that kind of cost me a little time. And then this corner, just brake where the curb starts, and then this is a very crucial section of the track. So the last two corners, very sweeping and long left and right combination, and then you have to carry as much speed as possible, but also it's just very tricky with the traction because you're demanding a lot from the rear tires because you're turning and accelerating at the same time. So it's tough, but we come around to do a 1 minute 14.8, which was not really ideal. I think I could have gone a little faster, but yeah, I had to take it a lot more cautiously than I wanted to. And as I mentioned, the race strategy, medium to hard's pretty straightforward. So underfueling the car for this one and choosing to run minus zero point 0.7 laps of fuel, and it should be a good start. Very important to warm the tires because this is a very crucial start, as there are a lot of soft runners in front of me, and you have to just make sure you gain lots of positions on the start finish straight itself. But now it's lights out in Hungary, and we get a decent start compared to the Mercedes in P5, but I think I made a mistake. I should have covered the Red Bull going up into T1, as we make slight contact with the Mercedes, and the Red Bull just sends it on our inside. So I was kind of taking it very cautiously at this time because an incident now would have really meant bad things for our race. And into this corner, we try to stick it around the outside of the Mercedes, but he just has the better tires at this point, and I realized that there was no point fighting it because we would be under threat from the car behind us. So as you can see, going into this corner, he completely sends it into that corner, and if I had taken the normal line which I take, that would have been a certain crash, because that is no place for any car to make a late move. But we survived that, and then we come on to sector 3 on lap 1. Yellow flags behind us, but thankfully nothing in front of us, and there was no safety car either. So coming up towards the end of lap 1, and now the aim was pretty simple: just stick with the front runners for the next 2 or 3 laps. And then I knew that their tires would give up because the softs overheat drastically in these conditions with the fuel load, and the mediums just become the better tire just 4 laps into the race. So it was all about just sticking to the guys in front and then waiting for that tire window to appear, and then I could just finally push. So still using a lot more ERS than I would have wanted to, because I think the other cars in front were doing as well, and yeah, it's just something that I need to improve on. I use a lot of ERS in tricky situations, but coming up into this turn, and the Mercedes goes wide, so I try to have a look down the inside, but he just closes the gap so abruptly under braking that it kinds of unsettles me also. So we both run wide into that corner, and I try to have a look down the inside, a very audacious and a very ambitious move, but yeah, I realized that I could not make it into that corner, and it was just not very intelligent driving on my part. So out of this corner again, as we attempted on lap 1, trying to stick it around the outside first and down the inside into that corner, but there was just no room for me to pass the car in front. So into this section, and now I think he runs a little wide, so we have the better exit coming out of that corner, and we're sufficiently alongside, in my opinion, to deserve a little more space than we were allowed on that occasion. And he just made contact on entry, and then contact with him as I corrected my car was inevitable. So yeah, it shouldn't have happened. I think I should have waited, but it was just I had already gone for that move, and to see that space being closed as quickly was just very unsettling, and we made contact. So not a really proud moment for me in the race, but I think there are a few moments in this race that I'm not entirely proud of, as you'll see later on in the video. So coming towards the end of lap 6, still behind the Red Bull, and it was very important for us to pass him, and thankfully he peels into the pits, and 2 laps later I close up to the Mercedes, who was about 2.5 seconds in front of us. So yeah, the softs are not at their best at this time, and the mediums are the tire to be on at this point in the race, as he thankfully again peels into the pits, and I don't lose too much time behind the Mercedes. So now the objective was really clear, to push for the next 6 laps and just see what can be made out of the remainder of this stint. But coming out of this turn on lap 11, so we have quite the turning point in this race as we get a safety car, and I was kind of happy with the safety car because I knew that it would stay out for about 2 laps, and lap 13 is when ideally you want to pit for the hard tires if you start on the medium. So I was pretty happy with the timing of the safety car, and I knew that I just had to get a really good restart and then challenge for P1 as soon as I can. But there were other things that were playing on my mind as well. So as you can see, in P5 we have the Renault of Maranello baby, who is P1 in the championship. So I knew that the Ferrari in front of me would be pushing right from the word go, but I think the main threat was the Renault behind, and I just thought to myself that if I could just wait till the time that he gets past the 2 cars behind us, I knew that I would be in a better situation, because I would have saved ERS behind the Ferrari, and just when he gets past the other 2 cars, his tires would not be in a great shape, and then I can finally push to get past the Ferrari in front. So at that time in my head, this sounded like a brilliant plan, but I should have been more aggressive right from the word go, and as you'll see later on, I painfully find out that that was not the right strategy. So still behind the Ferrari and trying to save as much ERS as possible. So we have a decent amount of ERS, about 70%, and coming up onto the start finish straight. So he's gotten past, the Renault behind has gotten past one of the runners, and he was now just 1 place away from us. So I was just waiting for him to pass the racing point also, so that I can just finally push, and he does on this lap itself. So I just decided that now is my time to get really close to the Ferrari and put him under pressure and see if I can make a move. But just fair play to the Ferrari, he just drove a really intelligent and a really conservative, really calculated race, and he had a lot more ERS in store than I had imagined. So still behind him, and it's like a sandwich I'm part of, this DRS train sandwich, and as long as I am the second car in this DRS train, I was not too unhappy. But at the same time, I also wanted to be the first car in this DRS train, because getting past the Ferrari was now very critical for me, as I thought that maybe if I get past, I can pull a little gap, but you can see from my ARS usage, I was just getting desperate kind of to get as close as possible to the Ferrari in front, and we're still in DRS, but the threat from the Renault behind is getting ever so larger every lap. So on lap 21 into T1, and I took to the inside line to defend that position, because I thought that he had the better run and I was under threat, under braking into T1. So that was a risk, and thankfully we lived to fight another day. But now it was also very crucial with the penalties, as I was already 2 warnings down, and I think the other guys, I was not too sure of the number of warnings they had. So we are just the closest we have ever been to the Ferrari in front, as he is a little slow out of that corner, and we get a slight tap from the Renault behind. So yeah, he was getting a little more feisty than I would have liked out of that turn, and we made slight contact as he tapped our rear wheel, and we kind of very slightly lost the car, but thankfully we did not lose the car or the position. But coming up to the last corner on lap 22, he absolutely sends it, and yeah, kind of pushes me wide, and I was not too happy with the move, to be honest, because yeah, I knew that he was on the better tires, and getting past on the DRS straight might not have been a possibility because it was a DRS train. So overtaking on the straights have might not have been a possibility, and he had to get a little creative with his overtaking, but there was just too much contact for me, for my liking. But we're still in this DRS train, and we are the third car now as we come up on lap 21. So he gets past the Ferrari, and we try to follow him, but yeah, there was just no space for us, and the Ferrari closed the gap rightly. So we're now the third car in this train still, and ever so slightly under threat from the racing point behind. And I knew that this was what looked like a possible P1 finish was now a very probable P3. But it was just very crucial for me to get past the Ferrari now, and I was getting really desperate, because when you're in a DRS train, you constantly are gaining on the car in front, and I think I was about the same pace as him around sector 2 and sector 3, but just lap after lap after lap you get a little desperate, and you're about to see exactly what happens when you don't drive an intelligent race and let your emotions get the better of you. So into T1 on lap 30, so we can see we're maximizing our ERS usage, reaching 0% on the start finish straight. And into T2, I had initially thought that I would just have a look down the inside to just kind of influence his lines, but it was just, before I knew it, I had already committed to the move, and it was just not a really intelligent move from me. And right after making that move, I started to think of where I can give the position back, because obviously this was not a legitimate move. So at the end of that lap, we have gained about a second, but I knew that I had to give the position back because it was just very unfair on my part to muscle my way past like that. But on the start finish straight, as you can see, the racing point also gets very interested, and I let these guys pass, but I just saw that they're both going to run wide, so I had no other option but to regain that position. And yeah, now that that giving the position back did not seem like a possibility, I just wanted to drive as fast as possible and close up as much as I could to the Renault in front, because I knew that his tires would start giving up. And as you can see, when you push too much on old tires, this is just, yeah, it's a real possibility. So we will get a 3-second time penalty, and although we were doing personal best laps towards the end of the race, it was just not enough to close up to the Renault in front. And the gap I brought down from about 6 seconds to 3 seconds, but with the 3-second penalty that we had, it was just not going to cut it. So we finish in P2 on track, but I think after the reports are made for contact with the Ferrari, I'm not sure if that is going to hold. So we'll see what happens after the penalties are handed out. But as it stands right now, I am with 147 points still in P2 of this championship, and a 71 point gap to P1 for the remainder of the season. That is 9 rounds that are remaining. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what I can do in the next 9 races. But thank you for watching. Thank you for staying till the end. A big thank you to all of the new people that have subscribed. And as always, I will be back with a new video shortly. Until then, just stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next one.